Ho ho! Welcome back. Who's ready for some good old-fashioned entertainment? Let's do it. All right, guys, so what we got tonight is another cast aluminum repair. This is a housing from a very industrial rattle gun, impact gun. It looks as though someone has dropped this because there's a big hole in it. I have checked it. It doesn't look as though there's any cracks. If there is cracks, when we heat it up, we're gonna find them. Customer asked if we could repair this, so we're gonna see if we can't get this one fixed up for him. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna grab our Milwaukee die grinder, Scotch-Brite pad. We're gonna clean the paint off the outside here, give us a buffer zone, and then we're also gonna take a die grinder with a burr, carbide burr, and we'll go ahead and bevel this outside edge, and we're just gonna build this up. So we're gonna build this up with aluminum and close up the hole. Well, the inside is going to look nasty. So I'll give you a look at what the inside looks like now. They've beat it up pretty good, getting it torn apart. So I'll show you guys some of the dings and stuff. I asked the mechanic when he dropped it off if this machine surface on the inside had to stay perfectly smooth to reassemble it, and he didn't seem to think so. But I don't want to leave a big booger down in there on the inside where the weld has poured in. So we're going to do one of two things. We're either going to weld it up. We'll try to chuck it up in the lathe and machine it down to where it's really close to the factory surface. Or we're going to go hillbilly on it, and we're going to take a flapper wheel on our die grinder, and we'll just kind of try to buff it smooth as we can. And that'll be that. First off, let's go ahead and see if we can't get this welded up. So I'm gonna go ahead, start prepping this. Let's grab a die grinder, see what we can do. Aluminum carbide burr. All right, guys, we're all prepped up. Got a good bevel on it. I've looked over everything. There are no cracks. So, looks like they were either wanging on this with a hammer, or they dropped it on some sort of a weird surface. I don't know. Could have been a million things, but nonetheless, we're going to see if we can get it fixed. So I'm going to roll the Dynasty out. We're going to see if we can't weld this up. All right, well, I just realized there was a tag on the top of my head on my new welding beanie. So that's good. Walking around looking like an idiot. Appreciate you guys not saying anything. Goodness, it's time to change the lens. All right. We got the welder all set up. We're running 1/8" tungsten. 275 amps is what the welder's set at, but we are using a foot pedal. So I'm running 1/8" 4043 aluminum TIG rod. We are going to hook up our ground so that we can weld. All right, guys, so the camera was fritzing out a little bit there for a minute. I lost audio. So just to get you up to speed, I took my propane torch here and I did heat this up. So now that it's preheated, we'll go ahead and start welding. So now we're gonna go ahead and see if we can't get this patched up. Let's see how this runs. So it is pretty dirty. The first pass is the worst pass. Cooking all that stuff out. After that, you're basically just stacking on top of your first bead, so it should get a little easier. I am trying to heat this up to the point where the bead kind of rolls over to the inside of this. That way when we're done, it's actually convex on the inside so that we have something to machine down or grind down so that we don't have voids in there. Okay, so I'll show you guys the first pass. It is cooking out of there pretty good. You do tend to get a little bit of garbage cook out of there on the first pass. So on this next one, we'll just keep going. I'm gonna grab a chair so I can sit down. Okay, we're just gonna keep on keeping on. Alright guys, so let's take a look here. There's what the outside looks like. So you can see the toe of the weld where it meets the original material looks good. There's no areas that look suspect. And then I'll show you the inside. Maybe I can zoom in. Let's see if I can zoom in. So you can see, got it piled up pretty good in there. So there's material to machine away. So I wanted that to be built up on the inside, no voids. But we're gonna let it cool. And once it's cool, we'll go see if we can put it in the lathe and machine this down. So we'll let this cool, and then once it's cool, we'll come back to you. Okay guys, we're back out here tonight, and we got it in the chuck of the lathe here. I'm just gonna check, make sure it's nice and tight still. Okay, so there's our weld right there. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna machine that off and get it really close so that I don't have to sit and grind this off. So we'll go ahead, I'm gonna grab some safety glasses. We're just gonna go nice and slow and get this machined off. So I'll grab some safeties and we'll kick this off. We're gonna go about 50 thou on this first cut, see how it goes. Alright, so you can see we've taken a pretty good chunk off that. We're just going to keep chipping away at this until we get that machined close to this surface. I could put a dial indicator on this, but I can already tell that it's not perfectly round, so there's probably no way that I'm going to get that machined extremely close to where it's back to the factory surface. So I'll just get it close with the lathe, and then I'll just buff it up with the Scotch-Brite pad probably. So we'll keep chipping away at this, and when we get it back down to the close to the factory surface, we'll come back and get it. I think the weld looks pretty good. That's about as close as I think I want to get with the lathe. So we're going to call that good on the outside. And now we've got to tackle the inside. So we're going to have to get a boring bar set up and see if we can reach in there and machine that down. It's going to be interesting. Alright, so we're machining the inside now, and I think we might just barely be able to reach it. So we're just going to chip away at this, get it machined down as much as we can on the inside, and then I do believe I found another spot on this housing that's got a crack in it from where it looks like they hit it with a hammer or something, and there's a small crack, so I'll probably have to dress that up as well. So we'll see if we can get this machined, and then we'll come back to you. Alright guys, so we got some grinder work to do. I'm going to start with a flap disc and just slowly take some of this off, and then once I get close to that surface, I'll probably move to a Scotch-Brite pad and just try to get it as close to the factory surface as possible. All right, now the inside here is going to be tricky because I'm going to have to start with the die grinder. And that's always a little sketchy because the die grinder, sometimes it likes to catch and jump, and then you end up gouging the material. So we're just going to have to go really slow and be really careful to try to knock this down. Once we get it close, we'll jump over to like a flapper wheel, but it'd take us 3 days to get this ground down if we used a flapper wheel the whole time. So we're just gonna go for it. So this is why you should have both die grinders straight and angled, because situations like this, you can't always use the angled one to get that in there. It's just not possible. So there are certain situations where you need both. You can use that to talk your husband or your wife into buying it. All right, guys, that was a long, painful grinding process. Just back and forth between my carbide burr, back to the flap disc. If I found a pinhole, I'd have to just put a little dab of weld on it, see if I could burn it out. And I did finally get it to where I'm satisfied. I did weld up that little crack that I found when I was machining it. So it's done now. So I've just texted the customer, they're gonna come get it, but I will give you guys one last look at what it looks like. So the outside turned out good. There's one spot. This is actually the spot where the hole was. So it looks good. Pretty happy with that. And then the inside, hopefully you can see. So the hole would have been right here on the bottom. Hopefully you can see, you can probably see some grinder marks there in the back. So that's where that was. That was another project that had its challenges, but we got her done. So I hope you guys enjoyed that one. Thank you for watching. Appreciate you guys getting on every week and checking out the videos. Keep it up. As long as you guys keep it up, I'll keep putting out videos. So this is going to be the last video that posts before Christmas. So I do want to tell you guys, I hope you have a very Merry Christmas. I hope you guys are safe and healthy throughout the holiday season. Let's not forget the true meaning of Christmas and what it stands for. Let's try to remember this season what it's really about. I would just try to encourage you guys to just take a minute this season to focus on what Christmas is really about and how it's blessed your life. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one. They've beat it up pretty good, getting it torn. So first, we're going to try to preheat police. But this is going to be the last video that I put out before Christmas. So I do want to miss you. I do want to miss you guys a Merry Christmas.